Hey, welcome to the weekly wrap up. Now, we've had some tether prints over the last few days. We've had lots of blood in the streets, lots and lots. So hopefully that's finishing now. And so I've got a few people in the chat. If you want some coins requested, please jump into the chat and let me know. Hi, Martin. Hi, Sadi. Hi, Robbie. And hi, Max. And it's good evening, Max, because it's like 6 o'clock here in Melbourne. So you're obviously on the other side of the world, and it's good morning to you. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to wherever you're watching this wrap up this week. And it looks like it's going to be a big month this month, because we have FOMC. We've got a 99.9% chance that we're going to get a rate cut. Trump has been really pushing for that. So let's see if that little 0.1% doesn't kick in and we do get that rate cut and we get the most epic ending to this bull run at the end of this year, because it's been quite sort of like tame. And the reason we're getting a lot more tamer in these bull runs is because we've got a lot more regulations coming in. It's not like the Wild West like it used to be, where we get like 20,000% in Bitcoin. They were the good old days. Unfortunately, we've got probably about it's been good. So let's just jump into this, because we keep seeing all the big influencers saying we're not getting, the million plus influencers saying we haven't had a bull run. And I kind of disagree with that. So, if we look at where we are in this run, and we sort of, go down to the bottom where we saw this FTX collapse, and where it was just, absolutely crazy. And, so every 4 years we have that bull run, and, that collapse kind of happened in November 22. So if you got in on that run from November 22, because that essentially was the start of this bull run, and we're looking Bitcoin at the high has done almost 750%. So is there no sound? Hang on, really? Don't say that, Aaron. Is there no sound? Can somebody just say that there's sound? Oh, there must be, because Max replied to me. I think it's you, Arjun, that has no sound. So maybe you might need to turn that on. So Max has just replied and said he can hear it perfectly. So don't give me a heart attack. I've done that before. I've done a whole show, no sound. So yes, yay, I've got sound. So as I was saying, 750% in BTC, which is massive. So if we have a look at ETH and we go back to the bottom, which was November in 2020, ETH kind of bottomed out early, June 2022. So let's have a look how far Ethereum has gotten. It came back down. So Ethereum has only gone 400%. But if you've traded along that, you've sold at this point before we got that mega run. So you would have got 300%. Maybe stop losses would have triggered in that position. And then you would have got another 250. So hasn't been the best, but we're still getting bull run. Like when we're looking at traditional markets and we're moving like 5-10% a year, some of the other sort of, like your tech stocks and that sort of stuff do move like relatively light crypto. But, when we're looking at those traditionals, crypto is still like moving excitingly. So, yeah, let's just have a look where we are in this market, because we're not over yet. I still think we're going up until around December. I think we've got a 2017-ish run where from here to December, it's going to be huge. So we're seeing alts are kind of bottoming out as well. So if we tend to keep going down and down and down, these are all going to break pattern. So BTC, this bounce has come on the golden zone. If we're counting this as a new impulse, and this is a wave one of a new impulse, and we're going into an epic end of the year, then this is the golden zone. This is where you want to be DCAing. And obviously it can come right back to 100%, which is at about 98,000. So that's possible at this range. But we're seeing tether prints sort of holding up levels, and we look like we've got an ending diagonal here. So we've got an A, a B, and a C, which is complete. So this is potentially a complete wave, and we're going into the next wave up for BTC. It may be a bit sort of choppy over the next weeks as we may do a leading diagonal in, which would look something sort of like we've come down. So we might come down doing a 1, coming back down for a 2, exactly the same as how we came down. And then essentially that gives us an inverse head and shoulders. We come back down just before the FOMC, and then we take off. So none of you can see this chart, can you? Because it's not on the screen. I'm just like... I've just realized it's just me talking. So I have actually, it wasn't the sound, it was this chart. So let me give you the chart so you can see what I'm doing. Because at the moment, you're just like, what the hell are you talking about, Lisa? So, yeah, I clearly need somebody here to help me. So as we can see, now that I've got my screen sharing, so we've come back down, we've got this ending diagonal, and that was awkward, and we've got the A, the B, and the C complete. So that is the complete wave that I was telling you about a moment ago while you didn't have my screen shared. And now going into this next momentum is going up in a 5 wave. So more than likely a leading diagonal, like we had an ending diagonal coming back down. That gives us an inverse head and shoulders. So it takes us to about 118K, comes back down around FOMC time, and then takes off for the rest of September, October, November, December. And that's when we're going to be making the money. So come this next 3 months is when we're going to be like DCAing like crazy now and moving into these trades. So BTC could be done, as I was saying, if this is a complete wave one of a new impulse, the final wave 5 for this year, which would take from now to December to play out. Potentially we're looking, JP Morgan and all of those are saying 250. I don't think we're getting to 250. We would need to do 100% in the next kind of 3-4 months. And I don't think that's going to happen. It's not impossible. Like if we get a lot of investment into BTC, it's not impossible. So I'm looking at a max 205 for BTC, which is getting up there, which is around the 80% from here. So, but 150-ish is going to be a tight squeeze to get through. And imperfect arc. So you're perfect. I'm just reading the comments. So yeah, at the moment we're trading very, very, very sideways. Just let me move that out. And we can see that we've got a really nice parallel channel has formed for BTC. Now, if we're looking at this, and it still comes down, that's coming down to about 99, 98 if it continues down, sitting on the median line, which is a perfect place for it to take off as well. So that's should see some nice momentum happening for BTC very soon. When we're looking at the BLX, we still have those, pattern confirmations where it could be this yellow sideways one, which we're seeing kind of sideways. We've had a bit of a pullback, which is in line with this red one. Now, if we hit that 1% where the FOMC doesn't have the cut, there's just like that 0.1% no cut, we're following that red path. And that heads down to about 93-ish. And that's our leading, like our wedge going up. So, and then we're definitely not getting to those 200 ranges. Max we would get at that point is probably like 132 by the end of the year. So it wouldn't be ideal to not get that cut. So we want to see that cut in September. And then we'll start some momentum kicking off for the rest of this year, like the last September, October, November, December, the last 4 months. BTC dominance has hit basically the support. It's really consolidating, which is another reason I think BTC might be nearing the end of that wave. We've got bullish divergence coming in, and the MACD on the daily is looking good, and it's flipped over. So that is looking strong. Now, USDT is playing around with that golden zone. We don't want it to get there. We don't want it to go any further than what it is now. So it basically needs to just everyone needs to move into crypto, start moving in, and this is going to change momentum. If we look at momentum happening on the MACD, we're starting to slow down, and people are actually starting to go back into crypto instead of holding on to USDT, because we are at that critical golden zone level on BTC. Now, the next one is the total crypto market cap. So this broke down on support. It's retested and it's still underneath at the moment. But if I take all of these support lines off, we do have a wedge that has formed here. And we're sitting nicely on that 382 line, which is a strong bullish momentum line. So that is a nice looking wedge. We could have lift off here as well if we get a lot more money pouring into the market. So we're seeing a lot of inflows into the ETFs at the moment. So that's another good sign. If you're in getting started in crypto, we get mostly daily news. When there's news, last 2 days, there hasn't been any new news. So there hasn't been any news on the updates. But you will see that there has been a lot of inflows over the last week coming back into Ethereum, coming back into BTC. And there's a lot of inflows into wallets as well, which means that people are taking it off exchanges and holding it. So that's another good sign that we're about to take off. And welcome, Crypto Light. Finally, yay. Nice to see you live. So make sure you are jumping in, and I'm almost at alts if anyone wants any requests. I've got a heap from getting started in crypto already that are prepared and ready to go, and I can see a few up already. So DXY, now we want this to die. We want it to just absolutely die and move into this yellow zone. And that would be ideal for the DXY, because that would mean that stocks, crypto, everything is moving. So that's the ideal pattern for that one. Ethereum, as we were seeing, so this is the weekly. And we've had a nice touchdown to support, you can see here. And we do have a bit of an engulfing candle, which means we're still in a corrective phase. So I'd say we're probably coming up. We're going to touch that pivot at about 4785 again, and possibly come back down close to that support. Maybe not right back down, but maybe a 4.3, 4.2, that sort of region. And then taking off for Ethereum. It is going to be a little bit slower. Now, as you can see on the stock, this is still really high. So we want that to cool down just a little bit, like we've seen in these regions, and then it should continue. but we're still a little bit high on the indicators. The RSI is still really high on the weekly. It can remain fairly high, but I do like to see that momentum coming, so we've got a lot of room to move. We're moved down on the stock on the daily, so that does mean that that's that bounce. I'm looking for about 4785, as I said here, and coming back down, we've got easing sell pressure, which is nice. So for the ETH BTC pair, we've still got one more wave down. So likely this hasn't retested the support yet. So that's the wave that we're seeing on the ETH USDT, USDC, whatever stable coin you want to be in pair. So yeah, essentially that has one more wave down. So just be careful when you're in ETH and dollar cost averaging, and don't over leverage at the moment, because it's going to get really choppy over the next 2 weeks as we head towards the announcement for the FOMC. So with that being said, I also need to let you know that the weekly wrap-up is brought to you by OKX, and you can join. OKX, they have an epic new site with low latency, and it's just so fast. You can get in and out of trades. They've got some of the best liquidity in the market. So to join, add 1890266 as the referral, and you'll get some welcome presents and a whole heap of discounts. So make sure you're doing that. Okay, so back to alts. Okay, so requests from getting started in crypto come up first. So we've got AVAX. Now this is one that I still believe is in a Y wave. It could be finished at this point, but I believe it might have one more wave down. So this does need to hold 1904 for this to remain bullish. As long as that holds in that region, it might test here first before coming down. Some of the alts are looking a bit bearish still. Now this is a request. So Coddy, I haven't charted this in quite some time, because every time I put a signal up, it hits the stop loss. G6 signals in at, it's cursed. It's literally cursed. So G6 signals put a signal up, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and again, it hit a stop loss. So it's cursed. So that's it. That's all you get for Coddy. I'm sorry, but I'm not charting it. It's a dead coin. It's dead to me. So, but if I have to chart it, it just needs to hold the low here to remain bullish. It did one more low than expected. So, and this potentially, this wave here has 5 waves. So it could be the next impulse. If that is an impulse, it needs to break 11,727. That's the pivot for this to be mega bullish. At the moment, it's just kind of like not doing anything, like nothing, like a lot of alts. So it's not looking absolutely fantastic. Now, if this is almost done, it looks like it might have one more wave down. It doesn't look like there's enough waves in this region. I'd need to go down because it's really choppy onto a low level chart. But if we're looking at this, if this is an impulse, this is what it might look like. First wave 1 will get to the 786, would break the pivot, and then it would be bullish. So right now, this could have one more wave down, probably around the sort of 40.045 mark. It doesn't look complete. It's still under resistance and not looking great. So if I drop it down to an hourly, it's playing with the MAs. Still has bearish divergence, but does look to be in a momentum change on this MACD. So, but if it does the complete opposite, it's Coddy, and it just doesn't like me. So that's why it's dead to me. H bar is on the 0.05. So this looks to be a 4th wave, and it's a very nice looking 4th wave. So it should see a bounce here. this could go into an extended correction depending on what happens with the market, where we see a W, an X, and a Y. This could be a complete, so it's got an ABC complete there. So that's just to be aware of. So ABC complete, and that could be bullish from here in. A lot of alts are in two patterns at the moment. Doge is ready to go. This is a signal in getting started in crypto. I think it's ready to go and sitting just outside of the buy zone. Now, Ondo, before I get to the rest of those, I'm going to jump in and get a few requests. So Max, you're in the UK. This is for you. Now, UK is just going outside of summer. I believe you're in similar temperatures to what we've got in Australia, because we are headed into summer at the moment. Now, Ondo, so you're going to be freezing soon in the UK. I apologize in advance for you. So W, X, Y, X, Z. This is a complete finished. Now, possibly in a fourth wave. This has a pivot sitting right here at 81. So as long as it doesn't cross 81, it is bullish, and that potentially is A, B, C. Maybe one more wave lower just will touch around that pivot region, and then it should kick off. So if this is headed up from here all the way down here, that's actually quite a nice move. So we've got wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, probably one more little touch down, and then we should head up to the 1.236, and that would be our fifth wave here. Then obviously that corrects at the fifth wave, and then it all starts over again. But we've got it completed. We can't do any more waves in a WXYZ. That's it. So this is bullish. Could go sideways bullish, could go up bullish. We hope it goes up bullish, but yeah, it is. So your indicator is on a monthly sell signal, crypto light. So there's only 8 in history, and none escaped a crash of 33%. On what? On BTC? Can you just reply in there and let me know what you're talking about, and I'll go back and have another look. So next one was SWI. So this has come back down. This is similar to what I was saying on Ondo. So SWI is looking likely. We're seeing a bounce here. The next upper pivot is 4.28. We keep getting around that level. Now, we do have an inner wedge in this region, so likely it's going to come up to that region, which is 4.57, as long as this pivot holds at around 3.12. SWI is looking good. Another one that is looking really good is TEL. It's just touching on that pivot, though. We don't want it to break down any lower. The momentum's starting to change on the indicators. So as long as some volume comes in here, this is good to go. If not, it's going to be quite bearish, and it'll come back down and test this red zone. Now, ENA has been sitting on the 0.382. So Sadi, who's in the chat here, loves this one. So it's still sitting there, just not doing much at the moment. But yeah, Crypto Light in the chat, I'd love to know more about what you're talking about with the monthly sell signal, because I've seen a lot of buy signals on BTC. coming up. So let's have a look. Hang on. Wait, stop. I'm just going to jump into this chart and change it to a monthly and see what I see. Nothing. A straight line up. All right, hang on. Let me remove some of this stuff. All right. It all bunches up. So we do have tweezer tops, which can be a sell signal. We've seen, tweezer tops here, and we got a bit of a pullback. So as I was saying, 98 is around that support area. 102 to 98 is the pivot. So 102 is looking good. Like that could be a potential. As I don't think we're seeing 33%. I saw a big account saying that we were getting a 33 to 50% like pullback. Like, is that an overall pullback, or, what are we looking at? Like from November, from the bottom, or from just this wave, or? Because if we're looking at 33%, possible it comes back down to retest the 21 EMA, heading down to 84 could happen. I don't see that at the moment. We've got a lot of supports higher up before that even gets there, and we need a black swan event for that to happen. We do have a eclipse coming up, and potentially eclipses are stuff that we can't see, and they have historically in Bitcoin caused major crashes and major pullbacks. So that could happen. There's lots of possibilities that it can happen in. It doesn't necessarily mean it is. I don't know what your indicator is. So if it's one that you've built or one that is widely available. I saw Crypto Banter recently saying that there was going to be an up to 50% pullback on BTC. And yeah, I'm just not seeing that at the moment. We do have this demand zone sitting at sort of 74. We've tested that a couple of times though, so I'm not kind of seeing that. The monthly on the stock has crossed down, but that sort of crosses and crosses and crosses when it's quite bullish. So it's going to be a sort of a test, like over the next little bit, of whether we cross that first pivot, which is 111. So if we cross that, the next one's 118. Yeah, and we're in this channel, so the channel support is at 101. So I'm, a little bit sort of skeptical on those really, really big predictions at the moment, considering the inflows that we're seeing into ETFs. So, yeah, and, Bitcoin moving off exchange into wallets. I just, not seeing it. But anyway, let me get back. Link is another request. So as long as Link holds 20.28, we are good to go. Poll, this is one that I was talking to you guys about for the last few weeks. Now, it has had a lot of volume come into it today. It has sat at that 50% median line, which is what I was telling you about with BTC at the moment, and is just trying to poke its head outside of that channel, which it looks like it's about to do. So looking quite good for Pole, which was Matic. Say has been sitting at the 100 MA forever. And last but not least, Solana is just sitting and playing with the 4-hour MAs. We have a momentum change happening at the moment on a lot of alts. Whether this is a short-term bounce or a longer-term bounce, we are getting a bounce this week. So we can see that we're getting on the MACD, even though this is a lagging indicator, we're seeing those bounces have happened off the 100 MAs, and that should continue after a small pullback. And yeah, it's looking quite good for this week. So we should see a little bit or a lot more green this week, and then we'll see some red, and then we'll see hopefully some green for the rest of the next 4 months after we do get that rate cut. I've got fingers, eyes, toes, arms, everything crossed that we get that rate cut happening in September with the FOMC. So there we go. Now, also, if you are on CoinMarketCap, you can follow me there as well. Now I am verified, and yeah, so just search Lisa N. Edwards on there, and I do post a lot of random coins that you might be interested in, and just letting you know where they're kind of sitting at. So I do that when I'm bored, and I do that inside Getting Started in Crypto as well. So I am fully unpacked now, which is awesome, and I'm fully moved into my new place. Haven't got my sign up yet, but I'm working on those. I've got most of my stuff all hung up, albeit a bit wonky in some places. I bought blue tack, so they weren't wonky today. But I did my best. I was very proud of myself that I got all of those all up. So girl power. Yeah, so just remember BTC. I'm going to go back down to that 4-hour chart, and we are getting a bounce here. Hopefully we get a test of these MAs and we break through that 111,700. Next one is, it's gone off this chart when I deleted everything, but it's about 118 is the next pivot, and we break those, we're testing the high. So fingers crossed that happens. If not, 98 is the pivot to watch going down. Next pivot after 98 is 74. So that could be where Crypto Light, who's on YouTube, gets his 33%. So, and Crypto Band to get their 33 to 50%. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility, but there's a lot of supports there that we need to break before that happens. And they are looking really strong at the moment. So for me, 98 is the low. So yeah, so it's looking pretty good. Green week. I'm calling a green week for this week. So and if you're inside Getting Started in Crypto, there's a whole heap of signals that we've already got up, and you should be in those because they're green, 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 and they're going to be greener and greener, hopefully. And Tether's going to keep printing, USDC is going to keep printing, and if they don't, I'm going to cry. So because then we're going to be red. But yeah, so make sure you are following me, chatting to me on Twitter or X. Sorry, I'm a bit old school still. And if you want some psychology stuff, jump onto TikTok or Instagram. You'll find me there. Be like Lisa N. Edwards on TikTok, and Lisa_N_Edwards on Instagram, and they're verified, so make sure it's me. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys, and sorry for not sharing my charts straight up. Clearly I need help, but I got there in the end again. So if you're watching, skip. If you're watching the replay, well, this is the end, so maybe I'll tell everyone underneath. But if you're watching the replay, skip the first couple of minutes. So yeah, thanks for watching. I will catch you again next week. Don't forget Femex free signals. Head to gettingstartedincrypto.com. Click the link, sign up to Femex with the referral link, and fill out the form, and you will get Femex free signals from us at Getting Started in Crypto. And yeah, don't forget to sign up to OKX with that code that I gave you earlier. I will catch you next week, and I'll catch you on all the socials during the week, and of course in Getting Started in Crypto. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye. 3 kisses.